Peace. Good morning. And welcome to Dictation. So, yesterday, one of my little young homegirls came up to me and was like, yo, I gotta ask you a question. And I was like, well, what is it? And she was like, well, I was seeing this dude, and, she's 20, he's 24. And, he was like, I know that you're doing all these things with your life and blah, 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 blah. But, I think it's best that, we stop seeing each other, X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z. And she was like, you're breaking up with me? And he's like, yeah, pretty much. And so she's asking me, like, why dude did it? Because their relationship was cool, and they get along fine. They don't argue or fight, you know what I'm saying? But, I guess what the underlying issue is that he feels a little inadequate or intimidated because she's in college and he's not, And this is one of those things where you have an educated black woman or a black woman soon to be educated or a black woman enrolled in school, and you got a black man who's not in college, who is content with his lifestyle. Like everything that he needs, his employment situation is able to provide. He's able to pay his rent, pay his bills, keep his car note, his insurance, everything is going, cell phone, all that, So he's able to take care of himself, and he's looking at, and this is what I'm explaining to her, he's looking at the future of them possibly being together, and how right now she's in college, but in a few years she'll be out of college. And what happens is that women's desires, women's experiences, and or certain situations they get themselves into cause them to change or grow. These are the terms that they like to use. And so I think what's going on is what I'm telling her is that dude is seeing the future, and that you're probably gonna get to a point where you're gonna be tired of him. And so he'd rather break up with you now because it will hurt less than for you to break up with him and tell him some bullshit like, well, this relationship isn't going where I want it to go, or I grew tired, I grew without you, however the fuck they say. And so this is what I'm telling her. I said, like, yo, this dude is a smart dude. He's a good dude. And he's looking towards the future. Not that you're not looking towards the future, but he's probably looking towards the future further ahead than you are. And he saw you potentially breaking up with him, and he felt that if he broke up with you now, while there's no feelings, while you guys still live in separate locations, while there are no children involved, right? No joint bank accounts and no shared bills. You guys are still dependent on yourselves rather than each other. You haven't made those coupled commitments yet, And this is what he's thinking about. He's thinking about, well, if I stay with her, X, Y, and Z can happen. X can happen, Y can happen, Z can happen, or all of them can happen. In either case, if she decides to break up with him, it's going to hurt more. So he decided, well, let me go ahead and break up with her now. Assalamu alaikum. Mm-hmm. Let me go ahead and break up with her now so that, we can still be cool. And it really messed her up. So she had to ask me, like, what was the deal with him? And so that's what I basically explained to her. And I tried to tell her, I said, like, it's dating is different now. I mean, it's even different. You know, like I compare now to then, like when I was in my 20s. You know, but even when you look at before I was born or when I was a child, you know what I'm saying, how dating was, you know what I'm saying, with people older than me. You know, it was, you know, it's not the same, you know what I'm saying? Like, it changes every couple of years because of the consciousness of humanity. And, you know, with this new third wave, almost fourth wave of feminism coming along, you know, and the idea that a woman always has the option to change her mind. You know what I'm saying? And I've discussed that before, and I was explaining to her that that's what women say because it sounds nice. It makes them sound like they weren't being malicious or trying to hurt somebody, or, you know. And so I was just trying to let her know, it's like, yeah, man, it's different now. You know what I'm saying? Dudes, you know, have started talking amongst ourselves, and the manosphere was created. So it's like we know what could potentially happen. And 9 times out of 10 with a woman, if it can happen, it will happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, it might not happen in the time frame that you think, but it will happen. Like, for instance, you know, when my first divorce, you know, me and my ex-wife, but while we were married, we talked about divorce and what would happen, so that if that came up, we know what to expect, we know what to do, we'd have a plan, you know, that we would carry out, so that emotions wouldn't dictate what we did after we decided not to be together anymore. You know, and I think that was a good policy. Except, you know, and it lasted a long time, you know, 5 to 6 years. You know what I'm saying? We was able to make, we had arrangements where I would pay a little money for the children so she could do her thing or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And it'd be a little easy on her. So, you know, we had a child support arrangement outside of the court system. And I suggest, well, I forget all that, because it's not going to matter. Because, see, legally, she can do whatever the hell she wants to do. You know what I'm saying? And so for a long time, people who knew me would hear me talk about my ex-wife and be like, yeah, she's the best baby mama ever. Like, we're better, you know what I'm saying, co-parents than we were husband and wife, you know, until, you know, she got divorced from another dude and all of a sudden needed money, you know. And where I work, you know, it's kind of janky and seasonal because it's a school, so when they're off for vacation, you know, I'm off of work. So, and so what the arrangement was before was I would just go ahead and give her a little bit extra when I started back working again, you know what I'm saying, to make up for the times where I had to give her less or nothing because of my situation. And she understood. But when she divorced that dude and she was in a situation, you know, she needed to go to the courts to stick me up for some motherfucking money. And I was mad. I was hot. But the bright side is, what the courts deemed that I pay was $200 less than I was already paying. Why? Because I was already paying. They liked the fact that she and I were civilized enough to go ahead and make an arrangement, you know what I'm saying, looking out for the children rather than being selfish assholes. And so they hooked me up. And then they dropped it down another $200 after she didn't show up for child support court. So fellas, make it to court. But anyway, long story short, you know, this is what this young man was trying to do, was trying to avoid the situation that always happens. Why? Because it can. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't trust them. If you could, well, they'd be equal to men. But that's pretty much it. I might come back, but we'll see what's popping. But anyway, y'all have a great day today, better than we did yesterday. And if we continue to do that, we'll have a greater tomorrow. And if anybody doesn't like what I have to say, well, you can always open your mouth and let me know how this dictates.